area. I want to bring back David Ignatius, David, because the focus of this whole signal communication, the back and forth, whether there was planning or not. Let's talk a little bit, David, about intelligence sharing with U.S. allies, something that DNI Director Gabbard said had happened about at the same time that these texts by the Secretary of Defense were coming on, as far as where the weather is favorable. We're just confirming that we're a go for missile and mission strikes. What does this affect, or does this affect our allies and what they're told and what they believe they're being told in a non-compromised way?
So, Jose, I think our allies care deeply that information that's relevant to their national security, gathered by U.S. intelligence agencies of the military and then shared with them, is appropriately protected. They take security seriously, as our intelligence agencies and the military do as well. So this has caused considerable concern in Europe. It's a front page story in every country that I'm aware of, and the questions are being asked. I think people abroad will be concerned that today's hearing is a fairly predictable standoff in which administration officials are denying that this was classified, there were no sources and methods, and Democrats are saying, wait a minute, I was in the military. If this ever happened when I served, someone would immediately have been relieved from duty. And that's why I think one of the most important things that's happened today is what your NBC reporter, Ryan Nobles, just reported, that the chair and vice chair of the Senate Armed Services Committee, Senator Wicker and Senator Reid, have agreed to send a joint letter requesting an investigation by the Inspector General at the Pentagon to find out exactly what happened. That kind of bipartisan call for getting to the bottom of things, for having a clear, well-established, legitimate, authorized investigation, that's the appropriate way out of this. Having Mike Waltz, the National Security Advisor, investigate himself, in effect, which is what President Trump seemed to be calling for, that's not going to make sense to people at home or abroad. But so I think that's a significant piece of news today. But to your basic question, people overseas are worried by what they're hearing.
David, just on a broader question to you, with such experience that you have, so many years working as a journalist and an analyst, how do you think this happened? I mean, how do you have the principals, right, just including a reporter into a conversation, whether it did compromise war plans or not, whether it did have sources or methods compromised or not? Just how do you how do you explain something like this happening?
So what I wrote this morning in the Washington Post, Jose, is this is an administration that's moving incredibly fast. In their first 2 months, they've overturned major policies in every direction, at home and abroad. And so when you're moving that fast, you have to cut corners. You have workarounds. You do things that are expedient. And so you can imagine people saying, I don't have time to go into a secure compartmented information facility. I'm on the move. Let's do this by signal. A lot of people do things by signal. And when you have a workaround, when you cut corners, you make mistakes. And I think that's really what we're seeing here, is an administration that's rushing to do things in every direction, not following the appropriate procedures. And the blowback that we're seeing is appropriate. When you cut corners, you end up violating procedures and sometimes the law. It's not the first time we've seen that, but I'd basically put this down to speed and a kind of arrogance, saying, well, these regulations, they're for the enlisted folks. So we're running the departments. Secretary Hegseth he's figured out a way to declassify what we need to know, and so off they go, and now we're seeing the consequences.